Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Tuesday, July the 18th, 2023. Tuesday, July the 18th. Well, we had a nonsense scene um, between Sam and Alexis. Alexis up to Sam's place and says, "Hey, is Christina here?" Sam should have said, "Hey, that's what a text message is for." Come on, Alexis. What if Christina would have been there sitting on the couch? You want to know what she would have heard you say? Hey, is Christina here? So, anyway, they were checking their text messages to see who's mad at is anybody responding? And Molly has her messages on Do Not Disturb. So, whatever. I mean, it was just mess, right? So, we have now Alexis decides she's going to go ahead and take a walk because it's a beautiful night. Gregory's still in the park talking to Tracy. And honestly, I am beginning to see or feel that because they're putting those two together, butting heads, they may try to make a love interest between Tracy and Gregory. And you know what? To me, the chemistry is much better between Gregory and Alexis versus Tracy and Gregory. Plus, Tracy's never on the show that long. And look, I don't even know how long Gregory's going to be on the show, but I don't like Tracy and Gregory together. So we have it was the real cute scene with Jackson, telling the officer to arrest them and Felicia and Lucy. But then what happens is Felicia says, or at least Lucy says to the officer, "Don't we each get a phone call?" And so he says, "Yes." And so they call Anna. Now Mac is there at Anna's house, so their cover's blown. And but when Felicia had turned around, let me go back to when the officer said, he's Jackson wanted to have them arrested because he goes, "You're trying to steal my property," and she goes, "I wasn't trying to steal it. I was just trying to read it." Oh my God. Okay. Okay, Felicia. She just wanted to read it, right? But they're on the phone with Mac, and Mac says, "Felicia, what are you guys doing there?" And so she goes, "I didn't want to get you involved, Mac." Needless to say, Anna gets on the phone with Jackson, and she's talking. They're not close, but they do know of each other. So she's explaining the situation. She's explaining, he says his client was married to Martin Gray because Anna brings up, okay, Lucy is seeing Martin Gray. And he goes, okay, and this is a little lover's spat or a little lover's misunderstanding. And so he goes, okay, I see that connection. And she says, he says, my client was married, very wealthy, was married to Martin. Actually, he didn't say his client was very wealthy, married to Martin, but Felicia at the end tells Lucy she read the file and Martin is getting alimony from client number 3, which we know, right? So now Lucy's going to know it's because of the alimony. But anyway, he says, and his client, before, going through the divorce, was saying, "I'm going to make this recipe Martin's grandmother's recipe," or it had been in Martin's family for years. Maybe Martin's mother, but I think it went deeper, further back than that. She was going to leak it on the internet. So, as part of the settlement, she could not ever give out the recipe for that hummingbird cake, right? So Anna says, "Okay, now I see." And so he goes, "And now I see the connection as to what they were doing." So she goes, "Look, Jackson, if you would just not press charges. Felicia really is the commissioner's wife out here, they meant no harm, right? And so he finally decided, okay, he wasn't going to press charges, which we knew he wasn't going to press charges. But in the end, what Jackson did, this Felicia talking to Mac, I didn't want to get you involved, Mac. And Mac was so calm talking to Felicia sitting on Anna's stairs and Lucy, because he knew anytime Lucy's involved, it is definitely something, right? Something bad. So something's going to get messed up, because see, that's Lucy. Lucy's messy. So needless to say, Felicia come out of that unscathed. But Jackson ends up calling his client and says that someone was trying to look, and he goes, I just want you to know someone was here who knows Martin Gray, and they were looking into the file. I just want you to know that. So we'll see. Well, we might see an appearance from wife number 3, maybe not. We don't know. Bottom line, the wealthy one, I really believed, is the one that has the deceptor. I really believe that, or that original idea of the deceptor came from that one. So we'll see how that kind of pans out, right? So now let's see. Gregory is talking to Tracy, and he, of course, like I said, about just you meddling in my son's life, he ends up saying, I want to thank you. Who starts a conversation when they really want to thank somebody, starts it off with the negative thing you did? I want to talk to you about you gossiping about my daughter. I want to thank you. Or I want to talk to you about your posts that you put on social media invading my privacy. I want to thank you. He came at that all antagonistic, right? But Tracy's like, well, yeah, whatever. And then she's talking about you weren't there for your son. And he mentioned Ned, and she got defensive about it, which he wasn't trying to be negative. It was just, he goes, our children, sometimes it's rough with getting them to respond. And then Tracy had to go for the juggler. You weren't there for your sons just because, you don't have a relationship with your sons. Don't be putting that. And he's like, what are you talking about, right? And I'm thinking, what are you talking about, Tracy? Because you don't have relationships with both your sons. We haven't seen Dylan in decades. Tracy's son, right? Never for Thanksgiving, never for nothing. Dylan is a ghost. So anyway, they end up arguing. Tracy ends up saying, no, I'm talking about your other son, Finn. I happen to know for decades he didn't speak to you. It's kind of father you are. And I'm thinking, see, that was so unnecessary and so unneeded for her to do that, right? And so he goes, see, that's why I should have even not tried with you. I don't even know why I wanted to have a conversation with you. So he's yelling, she's yelling, and he goes to turn and walk away, and he has a little episode, spasm thing. He drops his keys, he's bending over, and now he's got to put both, his other hand on the ground because he couldn't even pick up his keys. And Alexis happens to be walking by. And Alexis says, I got it, I got you. So she picks up the keys, helps him up, and she puts it in his hand. And Tracy's like, what's going on over there? What's happening? And Alexis gets between them and says, nobody should have to put up with you in this condition. And she goes, what condition? See, Alexis said too much, for one thing. She should have never said in this condition. He didn't say in his condition. And then once Tracy said what condition, Alexis should have been quick enough on the draw to come up with a cover. And she didn't come up with the cover. And I will be in this condition of pure rage with you, Tracy. You send people over a roof. You raise blood pressures. You know, he is so upset. You know, nobody should put up with you when they're even think about continuing a conversation with you when they can't even think straight because of your ridiculous comment. See, come up with a better cover. She didn't even come up with a cover. And I said, see, Alexis, she wonder where Christina get that blurting crap from, blurting crap out, right? So anyway, what happens is she and Gregory sit down. She helps him up, and he goes, I just need to sit here for a minute. His hands were spasming, and he goes, it's they'll go away. It's almost over. Because she said, you know, are you going to be okay to drive? He goes, no, once I sit here and once it goes away, I will be okay to drive. So she goes, you know what? This is a beautiful night. I'm going to sit here with you. So she sits down next to him, and then Alexis is holding his hand. You know, and it's funny, they're like a friendship relationship right now, or it's turned into a friendship relationship. And I thought, I hope it's not because they're trying to put Gregory and Tracy together, because I want to gag with that, right? Okay. So then what happens is, let's get back to the main crux of the show. The main crux of the show is Eddie, aka Ned, or no, Ned, aka Eddie. He is sitting there because Olivia's like, I want him out of the house, get him out. You know, if he hasn't come home to stay, he doesn't know, blah blah blah. Then I don't want him near my son. And she's just going up in arms, and they're like, look, calm down, he's here, just calm down, right? I don't want him hurting Leo. Which, look, to her defense, the last time when Ned woke up crazy, you know, disoriented in the hospital, he did say, look, kid, I am not your dad, right? He was a little off-putting to little Leo because, look, he didn't know. Now, at least some of Tracy's truth hurt talk says, act like you care about the people that care about you, right? So Leo said, hey, Dad, you're home, Dad, right? And then Ned looks at him, and Leo could kind of see it in his eyes, the way he's looking at him. And he goes, actually, no. He goes, you're back. He goes, no, I'm not back. And he goes, oh, okay. And then he looks at him and he said, which one's better, squids or octopus? A squid or an octopus? And Ned goes, well, I really don't know either one of them, but I would guess octopus. And he goes, okay, that's the wrong answer. You're not my dad, because my dad knows it's squids. So Leo looks at him and said, And he goes, well, what's the difference between, he goes, I do know an octopus has 8 legs and a squid has 4. And he goes, no. 2, I think 2 tentacles and 2 something, something else, right? They're not legs. And he's starting to do the breakdown, and he goes, wow, okay. I didn't know that about squids. And he goes, that's how I know you're not my dad, because my dad does know. And so then Eddie just looks at him, and then they go to another scene, and when they come back, Leo is sitting next to him like he's joined at the hip. And he's showing him his animal books, and he's telling him different things about different animals, and he's looking up at him, and he's, and he goes, wow, kid, you know a lot about animals. He goes, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And then he goes, Cody I love all animals, Leo said, but Cody likes horses the best. And he goes, that's right, I'm a horse guy. And he goes, he can't stand beetles. He goes, oh my God, no beetles. That's what Cody's like, right? And so he goes, what do you like? And Ned/Eddie looks down at him and said, I'll show you. So he stands up, and Olivia's watching this interaction because they were saying, look, just wait. Just see what's going to happen with the interaction with him this time, right? So Ned gets up, gets the guitar that's behind him by the credenza, and he starts strumming. See, something must be wrong with this actor's voice now. If you notice, you never hear him singing anymore. And he used to sing anytime this actor had a guitar in his hand, he was singing. And I notice he does not sing anymore. So he's strumming, right? Like he's getting ready to sing a song for him. But of course, they go to another scene. And then when they come back, he's finishing up the song with a nice little strum there. And so he goes, that's what I like. I like music. And he goes, you play, because first he goes, that's my dad's guitar, but you could play it. And so then when he finished the song, he goes, you play my dad's guitar pretty well. He said, you can play it anytime until my dad gets back. And then he looked at him, he goes, if he comes back. And so he goes, thank you. And then Olivia comes over and says, Leo, look, it is really past your bedtime. We got to get you upstairs, honey. We got to get you upstairs. So Leo turns and he puts his hand out to shake his hand. He goes, what's your name? And he goes, my name is Eddie. And he goes, nice to meet you, Eddie. And I thought, now, see, that Leo might end up being the catalyst to Ned getting his memories back. Because Leo didn't have a meltdown. Leo didn't, I want my dad. Look, Olivia was the 2-year-old, right? Leo was now, look, he's on the spectrum, so he kind of is reading people for who they are. And he could tell that this is not my dad, but he's relating to him as a person, one person to another. And he was very polite, and they shook hands. And, then Olivia took Leo out. So then Olivia says, when she tells Leo, you go upstairs, I'll be up in a minute. And she comes back in and she tells Ned, because Cody said, look, if he wants to stay here, but he doesn't want to stay in the house, I'll give up my room above the stables. And she goes, you would take a guest room here? And he goes, or I could just go rent it. She goes, no, you're just the best, Cody. She's hugging him. But Ned, so she offered the stables to Ned. She says the room above the horse stable, the stables. She goes, we have an apartment above the horse stables. If you don't want to stay here, this is your home. But if you don't want to stay here, you can stay there. And he goes, you know what? I'm comfortable staying at Sonny's. And Olivia's like, she was getting ready to go do the Olivia. But I want my husband. And so she was getting ready to say something, and Chase intervenes. He goes, you know what, Eddie, let me take you back there now. So he goes, okay. He whisked him out because Olivia was getting ready to see. Leo didn't teach her how to manage her emotions, right? She looking at Leo, she should have said, oh, you know what, I'm going off a deep end way too much, right? Because me and Ned have been split up enough times because I'm mad at him to be able to handle this separation, right? So Chase takes him out, and Brooklyn and Cody, Olivia's crying, breaking down. So they're doing a little group hug on her. They're hugging her out. And Tracy comes back in talking her Tracy mess, and they said, listen, Ned was here, but he didn't stay. And she's like, you let him leave. Olivia says, Tracy, we can't hold the man hostage here. She goes, and why not? You see, oh my God, Tracy. So Brooklyn and Chase talk outside before he's taking Eddie out. Oh, I'll do anything for you. Yeah, much fast forward for me. So Tracy, what's her name? Brooklyn comes up to Tracy and says, I am done spying for you. She goes, you, and she goes, and I'll tell Chase that you committed corporate espionage. And she goes, go ahead. Because if you tell, I'm taking you down with me. And then she walks away. And I said, finally, we were having to just start calling her BL. Because see, the Q in BLQ would have never allowed that kind of blackmail to happen to her. I don't care if it was Granny, right? You gonna tell, you gonna, especially once I already took the blackmail leverage away and you coming up with something else, and this something is something you made me do? Oh no, I ain't going down alone. I'm singing like a canary. My grandmother made me do it specifically. Okay. And so Brooklyn walked away from Tracy, and Tracy was pouring herself a drink. And she goes, good thing I got another plan. You know, and I was like, see, we'll see. We'll see what else happens. But it should have always been, I'm not letting you hold that over my head in the least. So let's go to comment corner. And I think, what was there anything else I wanted to, oh, one thing I wanted to mention from yesterday's show that I forgot to mention. I forgot, and I even have pictures of it. Sunny and Alexis, Austin gives, not Alexis, Sunny and Ava. Austin gives Ava a flash drive of the person that Mason wants her to hire to as the nanny to spy on Sunny. And she goes, yeah, but who is this person? He goes, a person that could get the job done. And Ava's like, well, and then Austin said, need I remind you, our lives, and we want to keep Avery safe. And I'm like, see, there we go. Austin is way more in this than he's letting on, right? Because they were at the Port Charles Grill. Ava and what's that girl's? Oh my God, Nina. They were there. And then Austin shows up, and Nina excuses herself to the bathroom, but she wants to hear about everything when she gets back because Ava told her she slept with Austin. So she wanted to really hear the juicy details. Nina did. But then Austin shows up. And so Ava takes the flash drive. She goes, well, now I got to convince Sunny to hire her. And in my mind, I'm thinking, Ava is supposed to be the most important person in your life. Now that Kiki's dead. A criminal wants you to hire another criminal to be alone with your child in close proximity, watching and responsible for your child, when she's not going to be watching your child, even though your child's not a baby, but she's specifically there to snoop and see what she could find. You don't know what that criminal is going to do regarding your daughter if a situation got a little sticky. Let's say Sunny caught her red-handed, had a gun to this nanny's head. This nanny's going to grab your baby, your child, and use her as a little human shield. But you, Ava, are going to allow this unknown person to be in charge of your child. See, that itself, once Sunny finds out, that itself is enough. Because Sunny said that he sent Pilar on a 2-week vacation, or he gave her some weeks off to reset herself. And Ava said, I'm not comfortable now with Pilar watching Avery. She's stretched too thin between your house and Carly's house. So he goes, I'm not happy with Pilar either. That's why I gave her this vacation. And Ava says, I want to hire my own nanny. And Sunny said, well, I got a problem with that. And Austin looks at him, and he's looking at Austin like, what are you doing here? Like, you didn't even have enough etiquette to excuse yourself from the table. He says, anybody that you want to hire to take care of Avery, Before you hire them, I want the name and I want their information. And Ava said, no, okay, that's fine. I understand that. Right. And then Sonny said, you can hire whoever you want. And see, my whole thing would be to work at Windermere. There you go. See, that's how they take care of that. You can hire whoever you want when she's with you at Windermere. I'm going to handle the replacement from who I want in my house. Let's see if Sonny is smart enough. Because see, the regular Sonny wouldn't let anybody Ava just hires, come work in his house. Right? But guess what? He'll do some kind of little background check, or she'll give him a background check. It's going to be completely face. We got a little police action, I guess, going on, or ambulance. So anyway, we'll see how that works out. But that was yesterday. So let's go to comment corner for today. Linda says, is it possible for Christina to have Molly's egg and TJ's sperm implanted in her womb instead of using one of Christina's eggs? Then the baby would be Molly's and TJ's. Christina would just be an incubator. It makes more sense than using one of Christina's eggs. It would make the baby be their baby, not Christina's. I have to say this. I agree with Tracy. One smack across the head would smack the sense back into Ned, LOL. Okay, Linda, that was the devastating news Molly got from the gynecologist. None of her eggs are viable, which is so interesting to me. Her condition, I'm surprised it destroyed both sets of eggs, because the eggs are kept in the ovary or the pouch there, and they're released once each month. They kind of alternate down the fallopian tubes. They're not in the same place. So I could understand with whatever she had, maybe destroying the eggs from and I don't know, is it the ovary? From the ovaries, but both of them? I don't know. I think that was convenient soap opera writing, right? So that's why the egg would have to be a donated egg. It would have to be. And then Cindy says, when Dante and Anna were talking, I sensed some romantic feelings towards her. I think he and Sam will eventually part ways, and he is keeping secrets from her. Cody's paternity is one. When the secret he and Cody share from their past, that we don't know the specifics of yet. Cody's paternity, that is a confidant thing. I don't fault Dante for not telling Sam that. It has nothing to do with Sam. And his friend asked him to keep that to himself. So I would keep that to myself. Sam doesn't have to know that, right? And then Jane says, I love Tracy. I love Tracy. Her and Epiphany and Lizzo were my favorites. Where is Aunt Lizzo? I guess since Scott is off the table, but Lizzo's been off the table for a long time. So anyway, LaShunta says, Anna needs help. I'm glad Dante's going to help her. Valentine's always getting hurt. Anna was the one who knew he was brainwashed. I mean, Dante. Olivia, she did. Olivia, just wait, Nina. Oh, for the amnesia, she does attach herself. And then look, she's trying to get Ned to leave town. Tracy meant Leo. Tracy's mean to Leo. Well, sometimes, not really. Tracy's vulnerable. It's rare. I guess maybe to see Tracy's vulnerability is where Leo's acting out. Lucy thinks every man is mesmerized with her. I know that hummingbird cake got them caught. And Sherry says, all I can say is now I want some hummingbird cake. Wish Jackson could come and plead and help. Seems he knows the ingredients. Yeah, that's what gave it away, was that hummingbird. Because, yeah, he knew from his client, right? And then Sabrina says, daily recap lady, I so agree with you regarding Lucy. I think Tracy is going to take her company away from her, and maybe but maybe not since she never pays for her actions. Great recap. I know Lucy, I can't stand her. DB says, I am liking Tracy's future love interest. I don't like those two together. If anyone can bring it, insert name, back to life, it's her. Okay, I don't get that. I'm not here for this washed up rock star storyline. His mother needs to smack his memory back. She has business to do. You know what's interesting? Valentine's gone. Ned has amnesia. Who's running ELQ? Who's running ELQ? ELQ is just running itself, right? Because Michael's still with Aurora and he's home with Willow. So ELQ, no one is running the company business. Tracy should be in there stepping up, taking over. Sabrina says, hi, Daily Recap lady. I so agree with you regarding Lucy. I can't stand her. It was great to see Jackson, and also great recap. Regarding Christina, I think the storyline of her being bipolar would be better than her carrying her sister's baby. We all know how it's going to end up. She is not going to give that baby up. And then Lucy says, loving Jackson Montgomery, if only for a few episodes. I'm really liking him too, man. I missed his acting. And then DB says the man is aging like fine wine. I'm with you, DB. Ron says Lucy gets on my nerves. She throws you under the bus in a heartbeat and won't look back. The whole time they were at the Quartermain house, no one thought of showing him some pictures. And then Anita says, Olivia already showed Ned pictures of Sonny's penthouse. Yes, she did show him pictures and he didn't recognize anyone. Only thing he recognized was himself from 30 years ago. And he recognized a guitar. That was all he recognized. So that didn't work. Olivia tried that. So that's it, everybody. That's it for today's daily recap of General Hospital. I will be back tomorrow.